Hello, I'm Rico Caviglia, and this is your Ageless Body Self-Care Guide, Operations Manual for your body and for your mind. And the title of today's session is The Joy of Movement. So this is one that I'm really looking forward to because, I've always, I've been into movement all my life, and I have retained the joy of movement all my life. And so I know all the value of it and all the benefits. And so we hope in this session to inspire you to get back into experiencing the joy of movement and put more movement in your life, and you're just going to reap so many great benefits. And we're very fortunate today to have as our guest expert, her name is Ana Nieto, and she is a registered nurse, a certified personal trainer, and nutritional specialist. And she's creator of the Volar transformational mentorship and coaching programs, which helps you to not only transform how you look and feel, but also how you relate to life. So Ana Nieto, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Rico. Nice to see you.
Yeah, I really appreciate you coming and share your knowledge and wisdom with us. So let's get right into it. So let's start with a question. How would you describe, if we talk about the joy of movement, how would you describe the joy of movement?
Joy of movement. Well, I always say that I believe in the healing power of movement. I think that we store a lot of stuff in our body, right? Like trauma, like things that don't serve us, and movement actually help us relieve from that. And I'm not just saying this, there's actually research that proves this. I strongly recommend this book if anybody has more interest in this subject, which is called The Body Keeps the Score. And it's a couple of doctors that did research explaining how this happens, that actually trauma gets stored in our body, movement help us with relieving this trauma. So the joy comes from that release, right, of things that no longer serve us. And movement is not just about physical strength or physical wellness, but I believe it's also about emotional and spiritual in a way.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, movement, the thing is that all the species, all the young of species, including human beings, that's all what we're about, right? Little children, what are they doing? They're moving, they're jumping, they're just having such much fun. And so so that's our nature, is to move and enjoy it. It's so much enjoyment. So why do you think so many people have actually lost that joy of movement?
Yeah, it's, well, especially these days, actually, right? I think it's more than not that we spend a lot of time sitting in the computer. And I think it's just, it's been going on for years, obviously, that people spend more time sitting down, and it almost feels like we are retrieving back to how we first started, right? Like we were hunched over, we were walking in this position, and then with the erect man came, and we started walking more straight up. And it's almost like we're coming back to that. And I think, for what I hear, particularly talking with clients and in my own experience, is like the more time we spend sitting down, the harder it is sometimes to keep moving, or the more time that we spend sedentary, the harder it is to actually get your body moving. And it almost takes the effort to say, okay, I should go for a walk, or I should exercise, or I should put it on my calendar, right? And all those shoulds and coulds that we guilt ourselves with, that we actually have to do something. So I think that's the reason why we have lost it. And I think the way to get it back is a little bit coming back to the first question, finding joy on those experiences, right? Because we know how good we feel after we go for a walk. We know how great we feel after exercising for 30 minutes, because we build all those feel-good hormones, and our body starts sensing them and getting those new sensations, right? And feelings that makes us feel so good. So I think it's just saying, no, I'm not going to say to myself, I should do this, but that this is the person that I am. I am the person that is joyful, that exercises, that likes to move, and just really getting yourself off the chair every hour. This is why I recommend to my clients all the time, is to put a timer on your phone, and every hour at least you come up off the chair, you stretch for a few minutes, and then if you have to sit back again, go for it. But at least that little moment where you can stand up and just give your body that little relief from completely sitting down all day, I think makes a huge difference.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I do the same thing. You know, it's like I think most people have heard that saying now that sitting's the new smoking, how bad it is for you. It's not just because it makes you stiff and bad posture and maybe your back hurt, but now there's been medical studies that, you know, the blood pools in your legs and it causes stress on your heart. And it's a precursor to so many things. And I just want to say too, you know, like, I like to ask people if they have a sedentary lifestyle. And some people who I know exercise every day, but here's the thing, even if you do one whole hour of intense exercise, but then what are you doing the rest of the day? Most of the time we're sitting, right? Sitting in front of the computers, on the phone, you're in your car, sitting down eating. So even if you exercise real intensely for 1 hour, but you're sitting most of the day, that's a sedentary lifestyle. So what you said is exactly right. You got to get up every day and move. And
Yeah.
I do want to add one more thing too that's important, I think, is that they've actually done some studies that they had two groups, and it was for weight loss. And so one group, they actually had them do 1 hour every day of intense exercise, and that was it. And the other group, they did like what you said. They didn't do anything real intense or for a real long period of time, but they kept moving throughout the whole day. And at the end of the study, the group who just kept moving throughout the day lost more weight than the other group did.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
that just shows how important it is. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, that's a very interesting story, actually. I love to get that research because, I mean, I'm a firm believer in that as well. Although I practice and teach high intensity training, I don't recommend people to do it every day because your body doesn't actually grow and develop and get stronger that way. You need to give it the time to rest and recover, right? So you can do movements that are not as intense, but that still keep your body healthy and still keep your body active. Yeah, that's a great point.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about the joy of a movement, because we all know when we're children, we really have all that joy. And we know like dancing, and it makes people joyful, and swimming or dancing or just moving. Talk a little bit more about if you just start to move more, you're going to start to enjoy it more.
Yeah, and that's a great point, actually. Well, there's two things that I'm thinking about this. One is how um, sometimes, right, for a lot of people, exercise is hard or movement is hard. And that's why sometimes it's good to stay away from the word exercise. And I'm glad you did, because movement is a little bit more appealing, right? But a lot of people are scared of that. Are scared of getting into the movement. And I think what brings the joy is once you start moving, once you start getting your body into a more active place, you start feeling the results of that, of strength, of losing fat, of energy, of more focus, more clarity, being more effective. I mean, there's so many things, you know, that come from that we know. And I think that's what brings the joy. It's actually the results of doing it that keeps you and makes you stay committed to it, and whatever it is. And the other thing that I was thinking is that I get asked this question many times of what is the best exercise that you can do? And obviously I have my default, which I believe that the technique that I teach is the best in regards to getting
Yeah.
results. But I also tell people the best for you is going to be what you can commit to. Because if you can not commit to it, it's not going to give you the results that you want. It's not going to give you the joy that you want because you are not going to be enjoying it, right? And yes, we know that there are some things that, such as strength training, right, which is what I teach, that is necessary for our body to, for aging purposes, right, to reduce the sarcopenia, which is the result of muscle loss over years, which you know, generates into not being able to age in a healthy way, being able to move less, being able to not do the things that are actually necessary in your daily lifestyle. So having said that, I still come back always to the point of enjoy it. Find something you like doing it so you can actually commit to it. You can find joy in it. You can get the results that you want, and that is going to give you even more joy. That is going to keep you more committed to it.
Yeah.
So if it is dancing, right, dance away. If it is, you know, boogie boarding, like I love doing, you know, I consider it a pretty intense workout, and I love it. Do that, and then yes, I mean, if you can commit yourself to do something like a strength training and some cardio exercise that we know really helps in the long run, absolutely go for that as well. And just one last quick thing about this. I feel like when you start doing things that you enjoy, and again, you feel the body and you feel stronger in within yourself, it gives you a strong foot into doing other things that maybe you don't enjoy as much, but that you know are necessary for you because you are already feeling those changes in your body. So it's almost like a good roller coaster, right? That your body goes through.
Yeah, I totally agree. That's so well expressed. But also, as you mentioned earlier too, there's a mental component as well, because we know, again, scientifically, when you move and you exercise, it creates endorphins, right? And so it just makes you feel good. It's the feel good hormone, or endorphin. So when you move your body, you get those endorphins moving throughout your body. So it does actually make you feel better. So you're going to feel more joyful. And just also to your point of just, some people, I have actually talked to people who have been so sedentary or not moving so much that they can't even think of something that they really think that would be fun or feel good until they just make the first step. And if you just think back when you were a child, what did you like to do? And almost everybody's going to be able to say, well, I like to ride my bike, or I like to go dancing or swimming or skating, anything like that. Any kind of movement is going to be good for you. It doesn't have to be anything real formal or anything, but something that, as you said too, it's something that you like to do, and then you'll stick with it. And it can be even as simple things as slow movements like Tai Chi or Qigong. Those are, if somebody who doesn't like to do anything too strenuous. So there's no endless ways to move and to enjoy your body, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And definitely the slow pace movement, I think, brings a lot more of that connection with your body than the fast paced movement sometimes. So yeah, it is a combination. Obviously, it's the things that you're enjoying with the things that are safe, with the things that are effective, and everybody's gonna be a little bit different, right?
Okay, so let's say somebody hasn't been moving hardly at all, and they come to you and they say, well, I don't know, I'm not really into exercise, and I don't know what I should do. But so what would you recommend, how to get somebody started doing something that's going to be safe, and something that's going to give them some benefit, but not really, and start giving them some joy that they feel that they can do?
Yes. So, I mean, as I was saying before, right, I have my favorite technique, which is it's a strength training, but moving very slowly. So it's
Mhm.
actually combining a little bit of what you were talking about, such as Tai Chi, Qigong, yoga. I consider it a strength training yoga style. Somebody that has not been moving for a long time, and if they don't have good form specifically, or they don't know really well how to exercise, I would recommend, and this is what I teach, to move very slowly, to try to connect with the part of their body that they're working on each of the exercises that they will be doing, as opposed to just moving senselessly without really connecting, or fast, because most people get injured when they move fast. That's usually the high risk, is using momentum, is using acceleration. So if you can move your body very slowly, there are some very basic exercises such as squats, push-ups, that usually start, at the very least, get you in tune with your body, with the muscles that you're exercising, and that you will get, like we were talking about before, some of those feel-good hormones like endorphins, and then really getting to do that, for 10 minutes a day. 10 minutes a day, you don't need more than that. And just do 3-4 exercises that you can get that deep connection with your body, that you can get the muscles to move, to exercise, and to just feel something within yourself, that in just sitting down and being sedentary. So I would recommend push-ups. I would recommend squats, and you can do it in a very safe way. Even if you're not very strong, you can do push-ups on the wall. You don't even need to go to the floor, which lowers the resistance, because you don't have gravity pulling you down. It's just yourself against the wall, and you can apply as much force as you need. And squats are a great exercise. You don't also need to do them just by coming up and down on the squat, but you can lie on your back, put your feet against a wall, and just push with your feet against the wall. And it will have that same effect that if you were doing regular squats, if you actually create that force, with your muscles. And those will be safe. That's what I can think right now. And the other thing is, I love hanging myself from a bar, from a China bar. just to get that stretch and just get that sense of opening of the shoulders and the chest, pulling your shoulders down, and just creating a little bit more of traction in your neck and the shoulder and neck area that we usually put a lot of tension, again, especially when you are sitting down for hours. So that would be the stretching recommendation that I would give people. And if you don't have a chin-up bar, you can always just hang yourself from anywhere, right? That you can put your arms up and just bring your shoulders down and pull them, so you can stimulate a little bit the upper back muscles and the lats.
Yeah, I want to add to that. A good way to hang is you can just open a door and put a towel over it and hang off of a door.
There you go.
That works really good. And the other thing, to your point of push-ups and squats, you can do it at your kitchen sink or on your counter, or you can do it in your bathroom counter. You can do push-ups just right off your sink. You can hold on and do squats. So you don't have to say, well, I don't have a place, or, you ever can make a lot of excuses, right? I mean, you can do it right in your kitchen. Just do some push-ups off of your counter right there and do some squats, and then, do a back bend, do a forward bend. It's all this stuff. There's no excuse. There's plenty of ways to move your body and get some benefit in this, and just like what you teach and what I teach, and there's actually no excuse for not learning. You can just Google anything these days and learn a lot of things as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
you can even do it when you're watching TV, right?
Yeah. You can move where you can. Well, the big exercise balls, the physio balls, the fitness balls. I use them also, for a computer chair sometimes, so you can just bounce and move around while you're on the computer, and just to bounce and move on your ball. There's so many things that you can do, and and I know you'll agree. The more you begin to start to move more, the more you're going to want to, because you're going to feel better, and you're going to begin to get more of that joy of movement.
Absolutely. And I have one of those balls too back there, Rico, that I use.
I love those balls. Those balls are so good. Yeah.
It really strengthens and helps with core when you're sitting on those balls, right? Like you really have to stabilize your core muscles. For a lot of people, those are key ones also to feel better. So for all of us.
Right. So we've been talking about the joy of movement. But before we have just a couple more little things that we want to talk to you about, I want to remind all of our viewers that this video training comes with a physical PDF, and in that PDF you can get the transcription of what we've been talking about, but also you're going to get all of Anna's contact information. You can go to her website. All of our experts have some other really good information on their own websites. Sometimes they have free gifts, or they have a book, or they have coaching programs where you can really learn more. So we really encourage you to stick with our, and connect with our experts, and, connect with Anna and see what she has to offer. And again, all the experts that I've chosen to be in this project are people that I know that you can trust, that are really giving you the right information, and they really care about you, and they're going to give you some help and information that really will make a big difference in your life. So be sure and check that out. So I think the last thing that I always try to bring up with all of our experts, and it's kind of the hardest question of all to answer, is what ideas can you or we can come up with to really inspire and motivate people to actually take action on the recommendations that we've been talking about.
Yeah. And I tell you, I've been thinking about this a lot, specifically these days. And one of the things that I came up that I think is helpful, and I hope it is for, the people that are watching this, is that, and titled How to Live a Life of Desire Instead of Obligation. And you might have seen that in one of my communications. But what I was talking about there is that I feel like when we try to control our outcomes by saying, I should do this, only if I could get this, if I would, it's so hard, because we are making this obligation, this restriction in our life, that it feels very restrictive, very, very, very almost impossible, right, to achieve. And I think it's when we look at it, we shift our mind and we say, I am going to be, I am going to do, I am going to have. So, for example, I am a person that is healthy, and this is why I exercise. I am somebody that eats yummy, nutritious foods. I am someone that walks every day. I'm somebody that loves to stretch every hour because it makes me feel really good. I think when we bring it from that perspective of being instead of doing, and more of receiving what is truly what you want to do and what your outcome is and what you want to become, instead of pushing through that as an obligation, I think it makes a huge difference. It's almost like we are putting ourselves into our future self that we want to be, right? If we are not there yet, but we're doing it in the now. And I think for me, I can tell you, it's been a big shift when I think about it in that way. And I think it has helped people to change their mind around these concepts, and just make it more enjoyable. You know, we're talking about the joy of movement. It's all about the pleasure of it, right? We don't want the pressure of it. So I encourage people to just think about it that way. And, you know, if you have a meditation practice, or just simply closing your eyes and, you know, looking at your outcomes or who you want to be, and thinking about it in that way. This is who I want to be. This is who I am, as opposed to this is what I should do. I think it's a huge difference.
That is so good, Anna. Thank you so much for that. I totally agree. You know, it's actually been scientifically proven, you know, that when we say things, I am, or this is what you want, that's what really affects our subconscious mind. You know, so when we say I am, but if you say I should and all that, those are kind of like excuses that you're not going to be. So our words, our thoughts and our words are also energy. So they count. So that's such a really good advice, and I totally agree with that. You know, and so I think we could just sum this up with it's don't you agree? It's our innate nature to be joyful. Our life should be joyful. Should be so serious and so stressful and so concerned about everything. Our life we should be joyful. It's a lot more fun to be joyful, isn't it?
Yes, yes. I think, absolutely. And yes, why not, right? I am a joyful person. I think that's one of the mottos that we should all keep. Absolutely. That we should all keep. Listen to me, right?
Yeah, should. Yeah. that we can say. Yeah. Yeah.
It's just by default, and I think it is shifting that, you know, for all of us, including, you know, the ones that we preach about it. I think is so important, because it can really change the health of our planet, you know, one person at a time. That's really my belief.
So good. So thank you so much, Anna, for that. Okay, well, how about we'll just end this session. We'll just say it together. I am a joyful person. Let's do it together. I am a joyful person. Yes. Okay. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.